This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we're going to be heading off to an island. But not just any island, we're going to be going to an island that has lots of danger. We're going to be trying to put ships and boats around this island. It is called Skull Island. Now this is going to be a Penny Papers adventure, basically number 2. This is one of a 3-part series that's all releasing together of quick and easy roll and write style games where we'll be rolling dice and writing things on a piece of paper. This one is in the middle of the 3 that came out. This is for ages 8 and up. The other 2 are 7 and up and 9 and up. So I'm going to teach you how to play this, and then I'll see you on the other side. Now the game comes with 100 pad color sheets, and it comes with 3 special dice. Now you can play this game with up to, in one game, 100 players at a time because you have 100 sheets. And if you even buy extra sheets, they sell extra ones, you can play with literally infinite amount of people, because over the course of the game, one player, and it doesn't matter who, is going to roll these 3 dice, and everyone is going to have the same choices to make from those dice. No one gets any advantage for being the player to roll the dice. So I'm going to show you how this works, but before that, let me show you what you're trying to do. Over the course of the game, you're going to try to score the most points, and you'll do that by finding treasures. There's 5 different treasures that you might be able to get, and they'll be worth different values depending on the treasure, and you're also going to be having some possible danger come up throughout the game. So looking at a total score sheet here, over the course of the game, as numbers are being rolled, you're going to be placing numbers adjacent to some numbers and adjacent to some other things I'll describe later, but essentially what you're trying to do is create a crosshairs or a left in, four numbers that are crossing with each other. So we have a 4 here, a 4 here, a 4 here, and a 4 here. And where those intersect, regardless of what's there, in this case it's a mountain where you normally can't write numbers, but you can find treasures there. This is circled because this is the intersection of 4 of the same number, in this case 4s, and you'd get that number here, and that's how many points that treasure is going to be worth. Now, over the course of the game, you'll be able to draw boats into the sea, and these work to help you get treasures. Here we have a 1, and in the same column we have a 1. Over here we have a 1, and it would intersect with a 1 if it was in one of these spots, but we don't have one. But if you have a boat here, this acts as sort of a 1 in any of these spots, and so it can intersect here, and you get a 1 here. Same for the 9. We have a 9 here. It intersects with these 2 in this spot, and it's at the edge, but this boat comes down and helps to intersect that 9. Now for the 7s, we've got a 7 here, a 7 here, a boat up here, and a boat here. You can use up to 2 boats, 1 in a column and 1 in a row. And that's the most boats you can use to get a treasure. And then the same thing with the 10, we have 10, 10, and a boat here. We'll go a little bit over this. Now there's some danger that can come in here. And how the dangers work is each time you get a danger, you'll be making a little bubble mark here. And at the end of the game, that danger is going to be worth the smallest number it is next to. So this one is 1, and it's a -1. This one this one's saying it's a +4, because if you're able to get a 9, which is shown right here, anywhere adjacent, which means surrounding, even diagonally, another danger, you can cross it out. And instead of getting a negative of the smallest amount that you're getting there, you're going to get a positive. So in this case, we get +4, and then this danger was not crossed out because it didn't have a 9 anywhere adjacent to it, so it's going to be a -7. So at the end of the game, you're going to add up the positive and negative scores of your danger, which is -4 here, with all the positive of the treasure, and add all those up. Now this treasure here is okay because it was crossed out, but if this danger was not crossed out, if you got a treasure there, it's not worth anything. So you really need to cross those out if that's where you're finding treasure. So again, you're intersecting, using boats, using numbers, getting numbers, and trying to put 9 next to dangers to get points. That's what you're trying to do. Now when the person rolls the dice, if all 3 dice are showing numbers and no special symbols, everyone is going to have the same choice. You can take any single number of these dice. So you could take a 1 or a 2 or a 3 and write it down, as I'll show you in just a moment. Or you could take any pair. 2 and 1, that's a 3, of course. 3 and 2 is a 5, so you could take a 5. Or you could add all 3 together, which is 6. So you have lots of choices here. Your first one, if it's all numbers, it has to be on the edge, somewhere around the edge of the sea here. So let's just say I add those up and I place 6 here. Now let's say the next set of 3 more numbers, and I decide to add them all up: 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now you can only place at this point, since I have no boats out, adjacent to a number that's there. So right now I can only place here, here, or here, but let's say I place a 9 right here. Let's say there's 3 more numbers. I decide to take just these 2. I put a 10. It has to be adjacent to one of these numbers. Remember, adjacent can be diagonal. So now I'm opening up my options, because next time if I get numbers, I can put one here, 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 or here. So your options start to get bigger. Now, if you roll the boat, instead of taking the numbers, you can place the boat on any C space around here. So let's say I am going to put a boat like this. You'll just draw a boat, just like that. Now let's say the next roll, a danger happens. What happens is everyone takes their sheet. They would normally write their initials in this top left spot, and they would all throw it in the middle, randomize them, and everyone would grab a sheet, and that player would draw a danger symbol anywhere they want on there. So let's say this player does this. I always just do this because I can't draw worth anything, and they would give it back to that player. I find that to be quite cumbersome, so I typically like to just pass it to the left or to the right. Change it up each game. Now if you get this penny symbol, you can write the number 1 to 15, any one of those numbers in any open spot. So I'm going to write a 10 here. And what that means is that this intersects with the boat, if you remember, and these 10s intersect with this, so I get to circle this, and I get that treasure for 10 as shown. Now notice also I got that danger here. I have a 9 here. Let's say later on I'm able to get a 15 here using a penny die later on. Let's say I get an 11 here. Now at the end of the game again, because we had this danger here, because it's next to a 9, it's going to get crossed out, which is great because now the smallest number will be the points, and I'll actually get a positive 9 for that one, which is actually really good for getting some danger there. And again, this will continue until any one player has found their 5th treasure, or until someone has finished all of the non-mountain spaces. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Now I told you the sheets are double-sided, but it's not just the same thing, it's actually a different layout, so you can play the game, same rules as always, but the layout changes the game and almost feels a little bit like a different game there. All right, well, that is Skull Island. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, there's 3 of these releasing at the same time, and I'm releasing all my reviews of these on the same day. So in the description of the video, you can click to the other ones in this series, as well as a summarization video in my 2-minute Allegro video, where I quickly sort of compare and contrast them with each other. So about Skull Island itself, I like the nice, big, chunky dice. Now they're wood, so they're light, but they roll well, and I like that they're large, because again, you're going to be part of the things with these games is you can play them with as many players as you want, and having a bunch of people around a table, it makes it better to have those big dice. Now this one is sort of a pretty thinky, I would call it a light medium roll and write game. The best comparison I could put for weight and type of game is Rolling America, also known, there's one called Rolling Japan as well out there, where it's very spatial and it's about that depth. So I wouldn't say this is definitely not entry level. This isn't like the Quicks level or even, the first of this penny paper series. If people have never played Yahtzee, or maybe that's all they've ever played, this probably isn't the best place to start. Now I like that you can play this up to 100 people simultaneously on its own, and you can even buy more pads of paper and do this and play with as many as you like. I think that's a great thing to do because, not a lot of games do that, and I think that's a cool aspect here. I like the special die faces. So you have the boat, you have penny papers, and you have the danger, and so those things are doing different things. The boat you're trying to put on the side that we'll talk about in just a moment, but I like how the different die faces do different things in this game. The danger, I like that you're basically messing up other people and trying to write on other people's sheets. Now I have found, we'll get more into that later actually though. So speaking of that danger, I like that you're trying to mess other people up, but if so, you can get them negative points, but if you put it next to a 9, you can get positive points. So I like that. Another thing to think about where you're trying to do everything else you're trying to do, but you're also trying to put 9 next to those dangers in order to possibly get positive points there. And I like that the aspect of where you're placing. I like that you either have to place adjacent to another number or a boat. So, and that brings me to the boats itself. Is using those boats is very interesting because a lot of the times it's going to help you get treasure, but towards the beginning of the game and even maybe towards the end, you're going to be using those boats sometimes just to place them where hey, I can place a die next to it. So you don't have to place adjacent, you can place a boat on the other side of the map and then go, oh, now I can put a value there and start working on different and triangulating different things of treasures there. So there's definitely a lot going on here for how simple the game is. I love that the sheets are double-sided and that each of them are different, so it's a little bit harder layout on the other side. And that's gonna just give the game even more replayability. And by the way, the sheets are high quality color sheets, as you saw. The solo game works well. I've played it a few times solo, and yes, you're writing the danger on your own, but you have to put it next to your last number, so it does make it challenging. Maybe not as hard as if somebody else was doing it, but they probably have adjusted for the scoring there for how high you want to get. You're just trying to get a specific scoring range for you. So overall, that's the game. Now for me, let me talk about some of the negatives. First of all, the game might be too spatial related for some. Just the way you gotta look and see things. If spatial things are not your thing, I don't think this is gonna be the game for you. Now, I mentioned Rolling America earlier. I don't necessarily think this one's gonna dethrone that for me, for that sort of light medium champion of roll and writes that you can play up to a lot of players with. This one was the only one of the three that I didn't personally like. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad design. It definitely has some interesting choices. Again, all the things that I said, there's a lot of good here, but personally for me, this was the only one I didn't like just because it was a little too spatial of the way things worked out. And again, having the 100, being able to play with many players, I feel like for me, you know, Rolling America was just, it hits that niche for me where I can play with more, and it's a little bit easier to understand, also spatial, but not quite as spatial. So for me, it's not a bad game. There's nothing inherent in the design that I had problems with. This was just more of a personal thing, and that's Skull Island.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.